Hello folks, Tri-County Weather Service forecaster James Foley here for storm update at 10 o'clock. Here's the big storm. It's very close right now. Big circulation here. As we can see, the storm is just right over Detroit and Cleveland. That's where the center of the low is. High pressure still hanging strong over Newfoundland and Nova Scotia though, with a barometric pressure of over 1,030 millibars. That will quickly follow as we get over the next few hours as this storm finally moves into our area. In fact, it would only be maybe an hour or two before the snow starts to fall. And when it does start falling, it's going to be very quickly intensifying. By the time we get to 1 o'clock a.m., we're already seeing moderate to heavy snowfall. Very heavy snow squalls right now over much of Rochester, Buffalo, Cleveland, Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, into Quebec. They're all seeing some heavy snow right now. That will eventually move towards Ontario and Quebec. But for us, we're going to see more of a light to moderate snow before it changes to freezing rain and then eventually rain. There is a better consensus now from the models on the timing and the snowfall amounts. The GFS and the NAM model still, though, are saying over 30 centimeters of snow. However, I took a look at some of the data and I see that the temperatures are currently right around -2 degrees, and that tells me that there's just enough warm air down to the surface that we may actually change terrain either quicker or we're just not going to see as much snow. Alright, so I'm just going to zoom in here towards most of our area to see a closer look. Here we go. We're seeing some of that flurries now eventually moving into Yarmouth. They're likely not reaching the ground, but the radar is picking it up. And it's very likely that the snow that's in Portland and Boston will eventually ride into our neck of the wood within the next hour or so. But the radar is picking up that we are starting to see a little bit of that light flurry activity right now over Yarmouth, Digby, and the very southern tip of Shelburne. Here's a better radar look at the precipitation type. Snow flurries, much of New Hampshire and Maine right now. Heavy snow continues to fall over much of Massachusetts. For a little bit of freezing rain and mix just to the southern part of Massachusetts. And we do have some rain now taking over the Cape and Islands. A big area of rain and freezing rain towards much of the northeast, and all this snow is going to arrive within the next hour or two in our neck of the woods before we eventually change to that pink, and then we'll change into that green. So a very messy storm for the next 12 to 24 hours, taking us into Wednesday and Wednesday evening before it finally slows down. Take a look at temperatures right now. This is what I was talking about. Temperatures here, -2 for much of the Tri-Counties. -3 right now in Western Head. A nice balmy -1 if you're in Carroll Point, Nova Scotia. -4 as you take a look at Greenwood, Nova Scotia. Close to Berwick, looking at -5. Also in Kentville. And then down towards Halifax, also seeing temperatures of -3, -4 degrees. Check it out, -10 right now in Lewisburg, Cape Breton. That is the cold spot. And we're not seeing very strong winds right now, so that's the good news. The winds right now are actually pretty light. Take a look at the mean wind speed right now. We are seeing wind speeds right now generally between 5 and 10 kilometers per hour. About 11 kilometers per hour right now in Yarmouth. 17 in Carroll Point, Nova Scotia. And mostly everyone else is just seeing 5 to 10 kilometers per hour. And no gust of winds so far, but that will change as we get over the next 6 hours as the storm continues to cross over the Bay of Fundy. We will see those stronger wind gusts. Wind gusts right now, there are a couple being recorded. I'll show it right here. Wind gusts in Cape Breton right now. Looking at wind gusts of 41. That's the only gust being recorded in Nova Scotia and North Mountain, Cape Breton at 41 kilometers per hour and 35 kilometers per hour at Sable Island. Otherwise, we're looking at just those light winds. And take a look at the Futurecast right now. I'll show you the Futurecast here in a bit. but I want to continue talking about the winds because the winds will be a big story. It's not just the snow and the freezing rain, but the winds will be the biggest story of the storm when you combine it with the snow and freezing rain. So timing us out right now, 11 o'clock, we are seeing wind gusts right around 30 kilometers per hour. Nothing huge, but that will quickly intensify as we get into 2 o'clock overnight tonight. That's when we'll see the winds become to increase to 40 to 50 kilometers per hour. And then as we get towards 5 o'clock tomorrow morning, there we go. Starting to see those winds gusting close to 100 kilometers per hour right along the Cape and Islands of southern Nova Scotia. Lockport, Yarmouth, Digby, all looking at the wind gusts then between 50 and 70 kilometers per hour, and perhaps even 80 kilometers per hour on Barrington Point. As we get into 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, that's when the winds will begin to be at their strongest, when they'll really ramp up. Taking a look at Yarmouth, Digby, Lockport, winds of 60 to 90 kilometers per hour gusts. And of course, there it is, 103 just off the coast. That 103 will eventually move into our neck of the woods as well. Here we go, 11 o'clock. That's when the strongest of the storm arrives as it crosses the Bay of Fundy. Looking at widespread wind gusts of 100 to 110, even 120 in parts of Digby County, according to this model as we get towards noon hour. 120 kilometers per hour just off the coast, 100 kilometers per hour in Yarmouth, down towards parts of Shelburne as well. And then as we take a look, as we get into 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, we'll see those winds finally begin to die down, but they'll still be between 70 and 90 kilometers per hour. And in Digby, you could see winds still gusting upwards of 100 kilometers per hour. By supper time, we'll finally see those winds begin to diminish. Winds gusting of 40 to 60 kilometers per hour. Digby hanging on to those winds still. We could see wind gusts upwards of 60 to 80 kilometers per hour by the supper hour. And as we get towards 8 o'clock tomorrow evening, still breezy, but not damaging. But if you're heading to Cape Breton, check it out, 138 to 140 kilometers per hour in parts of Cape Breton, eastern Cape Breton as well. As you get into tomorrow night, those strong winds will remain quite strong, over 100 kilometers per hour in that area for Wednesday night into early Thursday morning. Alright, let's take a look now at the Futurecast. Here's the snowfall amounts for the Regime Futurecast model, pointing out between 10 to 15 centimeters generally for the area. A little more as you head into mainland Nova Scotia. I do think we may see just a little more of this in the range of 10 to 15, but nothing more than that. It's possible we could actually get less because the temperatures that we have right now close to freezing. Alright, let's take a look at the Futurecast here. Timing the storm out finally, hour by hour. I'll take this back here to our current. Here we go. So there's that high pressure I was talking about that's keeping the storm to the south right now. Snow finally changing to freezing rain and ice patches over Massachusetts as of now. So this Futurecast is pretty accurate. Taking us out as we get towards the midnight hours, that's when we'll begin to see the snow finally arrive in Yarmouth County and parts of Shelburne as well, in the very south part, of course, like Barrington Point. That rain begins to creep up towards Digby County as we get towards midnight tonight, and then by overnight tonight, that's when we'll see the heaviest snow begin to arrive, and that snow will continue all the way into the early morning hours. As we get to 6 o'clock in the morning, snow at times heavy will continue, except changing over to freezing rain and ice pellets as we get towards parts of Yarmouth along the coast and along the coast of Shelburne County. But inland areas, they will remain as snow as of 6 o'clock in the morning. And then by 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, we're still seeing that freezing rain and ice pellets continue. Rain along the coast, but freezing rain inland. And then we finally change over to rain, and some very heavy rain, as we get towards late morning, early afternoon hours between 10 a.m. and 12 noon is when we'll finally change over to rain. So a long period of snow from midnight tonight all the way to about 7 tomorrow morning. Then between 7 and 10 a.m. about 3 to 4 hours of freezing rain and ice patches, and then from 10 a.m. right through till about 3 o'clock we'll see heavy rain, and even a few embedded thunderstorms could not be ruled out. And then we're all rain by the time we get into early Wednesday afternoon, and as the storm pulls us away over the Bay of Fundy, by the time we get to Wednesday late afternoon, early evening hours, the rain will diminish. We'll see clearing, but behind the system is of course some colder air, and that does give us a couple flurries for Wednesday night into Thursday, and that will continue into Thursday night as well for the potential of some snow squalls and flurries. And that would give us a nice Thursday night before our next system comes in for Friday afternoon with some heavy rain. Alright, that is your update for 10 o'clock. I am Tri-County Weather Service forecaster James Foote. Hope you have a great evening, and we'll have another update tomorrow morning.